So in this lecture, we are moving on to the unsteady state flow into the well, the equations and the methods by which we can get the characteristics of the aquifer in case of unsteady state. So for confined as well as unconfined aquifer, we are going to discuss. So what does this unsteady state means? With time, the properties will be changing. If that is the case, then that is known as unsteady state. With time, if properties are not changing, means it is steady state. So this unsteady state occurs when we just start pumping. Okay, we just start pumping. The discharge will be very slower first, and then it attains, after some time it attains an equilibrium state. Okay, so from the start to the equilibrium there will be an unsteady state. So that regime is known as unsteady state regime, and in polar coordinates the unsteady state is explained by using this equation. So this is the equation, the derivation is not given to you. A scientist known as Thies in 1935 has given solution to this equation as follows. So he has given h is equal to capital H minus q by 4 pi t integral u to infinity e raised to minus u by u du. So this is the solution given by Thies. This equation, in this equation, this integral part is known as w of u. W of u, it is otherwise known as well function. Okay, so we can write this equation as this one. So here h minus capital H minus small h will give you s. S, that is drawdown. So the equation for drawdown will be derived like this. S is equal to q by 4 pi t w of u. So that is equation number 1, where t is the transmissivity, w of u is the well function, q is the discharge, and s is the drawdown. Now in this equation u is there. This u can be represented by the formula r square is divided by 4tt, where s is the storage coefficient, t is the transmissivity, and small t is the time, r is the radial distance. So u and s, these two equations we got. So these are considered as the base equations for deriving the physical properties or properties of the aquifer. Okay, so by different methods, by using these two equations, using different methods, we can derive s and t. S is the storage coefficient and t is the transmissivity of the aquifer. We can derive by using different methods. Here another thing you have to notice, w of u. W of u is the well function, and which is expanded as it is integral u to infinity raised to minus u by u du. This is integrated, this is expanded in this form, but we can take only first two terms. We can neglect all the other terms for convenience. Okay, this is the actual form of w of u. Now in literature, the graph drawn with w of u and u are there. Okay, u and w of u with by experiment some scientists have derived the equations or the relations between w of u and u, and they have drawn some graph. Okay, by using that graph also we can find the s and t values. So using the base equation, we will use many other methods for finding s and t. So first one is type curve method. In the type curve, what we are doing is we have a plot of u versus w of u on a log paper. That plot is known as type curve. Okay, that is already known to us. That is an experimental result of some other works done by our ancestors. Now what we are going to do is we are doing the pumping test and we are finding s versus r square by t. R is the radial distance, t is the time. So everything you will get s versus r square by t graph is drawn on a log paper. So these two graphs are physically similar. Okay, its x-axis, y-axis and everything will be physically similar. So what we are doing is we will superimpose these two graphs. While superimposing one above the other, we will get a match point. So we have to superimpose these graphs in such a way that their axes came parallel to each other. Okay, their axes overlap each other. So while overlapping, what we'll get is we will get a match point, a point at which both the graphs will meet. Okay, that point we have to choose or take, and from that point, in x direction as well as in y direction, we have to draw a horizontal as well as vertical lines. From that lines, you will get four. From the match point, we will get four values of r square by 2, w of u and u. Okay, all these values you will get. That values. So our base equation, I have already told you, this was our base equation. So these two equations were our base equations. So from this base equation, what we will do is all these four values obtained from here will be substituted in this base equation for getting capital S and capital T. So W of u is known to you now. Q is a discharge, it is a constant, so that is known to you. Drawdown is known to you. 4 pi is a constant, so T is the only unknown here. You will get T from here. Now in this equation, R is known to you, U is known to you, T is the time, capital T is known from this equation, so S is the unknown here. So you'll get S. So S and T of the aquifer can be found out by the type curve using the base equations. Second method is Chow's method. A scientist named Chow in 1952 has developed another method for finding the S and T of the aquifers in case of unsteady state. What he has done is he has found an equation for f of u, function of u, is equal to w of u e raised to u divided by 2.3. So this equation is derived by Chow. And what he has done is he has done many experiments and drawn some graph relating f of u, w of u and u. So the graph is shown here. This is the graph he has drawn, f of u, w of u and u. With these three values he has drawn some graph. This is a graph. So this is aquifer constants by Chow's method. Now that graph is known to you, that is available with us. Now what we have to do is we have to do the pumping test and we have to draw the time drawdown curve. Drawdown and time we have to note down at different intervals, and we have to draw the time drawdown curve in a semi-logarithmic paper. Semi-log sheet you have to draw. So here the curve. So you'll get a curve like this. So this is a semi-logarithmic paper. This is log sheet, log axis, and this is anti-log. No log is there, normal axis. So drawdown is drawn in x-axis, and on y-axis, log scale we will draw the time. So you'll get a graph like this. This dotted line will show the dotted line will show the exact graph. That was the graph. Now what we will do is we will select any arbitrary point P. So this is our point of selection. Now along this P we will draw a tangent. The solid line is the tangent which we have drawn there. Okay. In P, what is the drawdown we will find? We are drawing a horizontal line and we'll get a value here, that is the SP, that is drawdown at P. Okay. Now the second thing we are doing is we will take one log cycle. So here you can see this is one log cycle and this is another log cycle. This is another log cycle. So like that any log cycle you are taking. Okay. And the distance, we are drawing a triangle here. You're drawing a triangle in this log cycle here, and you are taking this y-axis, that is the change in drawdown you are taking. That change in drawdown is represented by delta SP. Okay, so you have got SP as well as delta SP now. Now from these two values, f of u is equal to SP divided by delta SP. F of u is equal to SP divided by delta SP. That value you got. But already Chow has derived an equation for f of u is equal to w of u e raised to u divided by something. That equation we have already seen. So this is the equation. This is the equation. So accordingly he has drawn some graphs also. Now what we are going to do is from this you will get f of u. Okay, now this graph is already there. Okay, Chow has drawn this graph also. So if you are getting f of u as 1, okay, f of u, suppose we are getting f of u is equal to 1 here. Now we are drawing a straight line here and we are intersecting the point here in this graph and we are drawing down. Okay, so the value of u here is 1 and the value of w of u here is 1.2 something. Okay, so you will get the value of u as well as w of u from the value of f of u. And now what we are doing is we are substituting the derived values in this equation. This is the base equation. So in this equation you are substituting all the values for getting t and s. That is it. Now our third method is Jacob's method. A scientist named Jacob in 1946-50 has derived another method for finding the S and T values of confined aquifer in unsteady state. So what he has done is he has done nothing. But the thing is, drawdown equation you all know. S is equal to Q by 4 pi T W of U. W of u was our base equation. So instead of W of u, he has substituted the value of W of u. I'll move upward and I'll show you. Here you can see the equation for W of u here. So this is the equation for W of u. In this expanded form, here he has taken only two terms. First two terms he has taken, and 0.57 minus 0.577 minus log of u. This u, instead of this u, he has substituted this equation. R square is divided by 4tt. So these value he has taken and substituted in this equation. So S is equal to Q by 4 pi T. Instead of W of u, these two terms came. Okay, like that he has substituted. So that is what he has done. Here you can see So he has substituted the equation and he got the equation as S is equal to this much. Okay, now what he has done is he has simplified the equation to get this final form. Now if S1 and S2 are drawdowns and T1 and T2 are the time periods, the change in S1 and S2 he has noted down. So he has substituted instead of S2 he has substituted, and at that time T will be T2. If S is equal to S1, T will be T1. So he has applied the value in this equation and he got the final equation as S2 minus S1 is equal to 2.3 q by 4 pi t log to the base 10 T2 by T1. So this is the final equation he got. Now what he has done is he has drawn from the pumping test data he has drawn the time drawdown curve on a log semi-logarithmic sheet. Okay, and what he has done is the graph will be like this. Okay, the graph will show a straight line after a particular time value. So this is the actual graph. Now what we are doing is we are extrapolating this graph. We are extrapolating this graph to meet the graph at zero drawdown. So this is T0. So at drawdown is equal to 0, T is equal to T0. That value he has applied in the final equation, and he got the equation like this: 2.25 T0 divided by R square is equal to 1 he got. And finally from that equation capital S is equal to 2.25 T0 divided by R square he got. T0 is known to you, R is known to you, T is unknown. Okay, so for finding T, what he has done is he has again substituted um, uh, again drawn the time drawdown curve, previous time drawdown curve you can see, and for convenience he has taken T1 and T2 are chosen one log cycle apart. So he has chosen T1 is equal to, for example, this is one log cycle. Okay, yes, T1 is equal to 10 and T2 is equal to 100. So log of T2 by T1 is equal to 100 divided by 10, that is log 10, that is 1. So like that you can take, and he has taken it like this, and log T2 by T1 will be equal to 1, and at that time S2 minus S1 will be equal to delta S. That value he has substituted in the previous equation for T, that is the base equation for T. He has substituted the value here. Okay, in this equation he has substituted the value and he'll get T. Okay, in this equation he has substituted the value for that and he got the equation for T here. So here in this equation T is equal to 2.3 q by 4 pi delta S. All the values are known to you, so you'll get T, and the derived T value is substituted here to get S. So S and T we got. Now the final method for finding the S and T values is T's recovery method. Here the only difference is in all the above methods what we have done is we have done the pumping test and we have drawn the time drawdown curve. But here what we are doing is we are stopping pumping. This pumping was there and we are stopping pumping. At that time what will happen? The drawdown will be recovered. Okay, the drawdown will be recovered by the well. The recovery is taken. The recovery in drawdown, that is the decrease in drawdown is noted, and it is substituted in the base equation for getting T is equal to 2.303 q by 4 pi delta S, where delta S is the decrease in drawdown due to the recovery. Okay, so that was the thing, and capital S is calculated by this equation. Some questions are there that you can do, and these was for confined aquifer. Now normally for unconfined aquifer we'll not say the unsteady state condition, because they are confined only at the bottom portion. So normally it is of steady state only, but unsteady state occurs only when the aquifer is very thin. Okay, so unconfined aquifer, the conditions for very thin aquifers under water table conditions is given by Jacob 1944. Only the unsteady state occurs at very thin aquifer case. So in that case, the normal steady state equation is used. This is the normal steady state equation. So this equation is slightly changed for getting the values of unsteady state. So what we are doing here is, instead of h2 square minus h1 square, we are substituting another value. What is this h2? H2 is nothing but h minus s2. Capital H minus S2, that is total head minus drawdown. Okay, and H1, similarly H1 will be equal to capital H minus S1. So these values are substituted and we have simplified the equation for getting this one. Okay, h2 square minus h1 square is equal to this one. So that value will substitute in this steady state equation. So you'll get it like this, and instead of this single term we are writing s1 dash, this term we are writing it as s2 dash. So I'll get it as 2 pi t delta s dash divided by 2.303, that is 1.72 t delta s dash. So t is equal to q by 1.72 delta s dash we will get. So from this equation you will get the t value. So storage coefficient is not there for unconfined aquifer because we are using the term specific yield for unconfined aquifer. So we can find this t itself. Okay, that's enough. So this is about the unsteady state. Another important thing to be noted is the law of time. It is nothing but the law of time states that the time of occurrence of zero drawdown is directly proportional to the square of the radial distance, square of the distance between the observation well and the recharge well. It is nothing but t directly proportional to r square. So we can write it as t1 by r1 square is equal to t2 by r2 square is equal to t3 by r3 square. That's it. So this is known as law of time. T directly proportional to r square. So with this we can finish this portion. Thank you.